Adventure in Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
We're running hard tonight, and it feels so good. You're mine here near midnight.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio, and this is my last interview before I get on the road, and I have to drive 3 hours over to the west coast of Florida for an Alice Cooper show, and then drive 3 hours back, and then tomorrow morning, 3.5 hours up to Daytona for one of my favorite festivals of the whole year. Welcome to Rockville. And I have with us our guest who, it's close. My real name is Dean and he's Dion. Sometimes people call me that too because I don't know. It's an A. It shouldn't be Dion.
Yeah, you and me both. I at Starbucks or whatever all the time. I go from Dion to Dean for
right?
a lot of times. So it must. And I'm glad to hear it's a two-way street and it doesn't just happen to me.
Yeah. See, like maybe we're doppelgangers or something.
Yeah, there we go. Look alike.
But yeah. Your band's badass, Anberlin, and you're going to be at Welcome to Rockville, which is even more badass. Have you played Welcome to Rockville before? I know you've played the other Danny Wimmer festivals, but have you played this one?
We have not, which is funny just because, we are a Florida band. We're just directly west across the coast, on the Gulf and in the Tampa Bay area. So it's funny that we have not played Rockville yet. So we're pretty excited to, make our debut this year.
I think the most exciting thing is I don't even know if you know this yet, but you're going to be able to drive on the speedway to get to wherever you got to go.
Well, that'll be fun. I've actually done that before. I grew up going to Turkey Rod Run over in Daytona because my family's big into hot rods. So nice. I've been able to get out there on the speedway, and because they do this photo op at the speedway where you can take your picture on not on one of the banks, obviously, because a 45-degree angle, but going into one of the turns, it says Daytona USA on the wall, so they let you park your car in front of that and take a picture and everything. So it's a pretty fun experience. I mean, it's an impressive track. I mean, and the history behind it and everything, obviously is really cool. So, growing up just with all this stuff car related and watching NASCAR and things like that, it's always cool to make the trip over there. So it's even double cool that we get to play there this year.
Well, it's funny too because I do all the Danny Wimmer festivals. I do festivals all over the US, UK, and Europe. And I got excited this year because I'm actually going to be interviewing a NASCAR driver. So that's new. That's different. Nice. It's like my youngest daughter, she'll ask me a lot before festivals, like, are you excited? And I'm like, well, I don't know if excited's the word. I love doing it, but when you do it every weekend, I don't know if exciting is the appropriate word. But then there's moments like that.
That'll be different, for sure. If you're used to, I'm sure, if you're used to interviewing musicians and then going from that to, the world of racing, which we got to hang out with a few guys that were affiliated with NASCAR last year on tour when we were up in Charlotte, since right down the road is the home of NASCAR,
Right.
And so one of our crew guys he's got a friend that he's the guy that basically he paints all the drivers' helmets.
Nice.
So he took us out to this competitive go-kart track, and we were racing with a few of the Nextel not Nextel. What is it? Nextels. They've been defunct for years. Anyways, we were racing with a few of the kind of drivers from the couple steps below the main drivers,
and we got is it next
something like that. There was a couple of
I don't know because I don't know the NASCAR.
I can't remember. Yeah, I'm not. I obviously don't keep up with it anymore. But yeah, so we got to drive with a few of the drivers, which was really fun at this go-kart track, and then Dale Jr. came out to say hi. Wow. Which was crazy. I grew up watching Dale Earnhardt Sr. race, and was watching the race when he, had his unfortunate accident. And and of course, watching Dale Jr. drive as well was, a part of growing up. So it was really cool to meet him and, got to take a picture with him and stuff. Nice. So it was really cool, but it's really just interesting getting a little insight into that world there. Cause I mean, it's not like, the NFL or whatever, where, all the teams are spread across the US,
right.
With NASCAR, you basically are in that area. So it's like, when they say it's the home of NASCAR, that's because that's where like every team is, and most of the drivers live there. So just a weird world to get some insight into. So that was really fun. I'm always interested because, having dialogue with people that, they ask a lot of questions about, what it's like being in a touring band and things like that. And then I get just as excited, like asking about like, well, what's it like with like, working on the NASCAR circuit, like, it's, because you got all these different levels, people start on like competitive go-karts and they'll go up to like the sprint cars and like, then they're driving the trucks, and it's just such an interesting world to me. So it's cool to meet people in different fields like that are doing really, interesting things.
What I think's really cool too is, okay, so hearing you say all those things, what came to mind immediately is like, wow, that's pretty cool. A musician fanboying out on a NASCAR driver. Like it just makes you like a normal person. Like people look at musicians like they're not normal people sometimes.
Like we're only going to be into music.
Right. And like you don't get like, oh my God, to somebody or whatever, and it just shows you're just like they are.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's everybody's got their interest, and and like I said, even if I wasn't into NASCAR, I would still be enamored by the whole thing.
Right.
I always like hearing like what it's like in different industries or whatever, like talking, when we've had shot music videos in the past, when we've had to hire actors, one of our music videos years ago, we had a couple of people that, they were younger actors that were trying to break in, so they were affordable for us. They were, they weren't celebrities yet, but it was just really interesting talking to them about, the world of acting as they're there, filming a music video for us. So it's, like I said, it's just cool meeting people in other fields and like hearing what it takes to, be competitive and make it in those other fields, because I mean, I've been playing in bands since I was 14 years old, and, that's like just what I know. And, so it's super normal to me, but it may not seem normal to somebody else, and vice versa. What seems normal to them is like really intriguing to me,
Yeah.
So it's, and, and I'm a talker. I like just talking to people and getting to know them and everything. So it's always fun when it's something you're actually interested in, you get to hear some like, inside scoop on things and whatever.
Yeah. And it's like at that Daytona Speedway, it is a trip because first year we were over there from Jacksonville, I was looking at the wall. I'm like, it does not look like that on TV. That wall looked scary. Okay.
Yeah.
In person, it's like, holy shit, I couldn't even stand on that wall, much less drive it. And then I joked around with Christine, who runs media at Rockville, and I because I live in South Florida, West Palm Beach area, so I drove my Jeep up, and I had my skateboard in the Jeep, and I'm like, hey, and I was just kidding, but I was like, hey, do you think I'd lose my media credential if I took my skateboard on the wall? And like, and it's like, I was saying something to my son, like, yeah, I wouldn't have done it till after the festival's over because I can't break all my bones before doing interviews.
Yeah, we actually instituted a no skateboarding rule on one tour because, a few of the guys brought their skateboards, and like one of our crew guys almost dislocated his elbow. Our guitarist Christian almost like twisted an ankle, and our tour manager was like, "That's it. No more skateboards the rest of the tour."
That's great. See, I love stories like that. And speaking of stories, okay, so let's go back to when you were 14, because it's also interesting to me because my grandson, who's going to be coming to Rockville, he just turned 15. He is a musician, and he's following my footsteps. Like, it's so funny. One day it was a kid. Next day it's like, what do you want for your birthday? Oh, I want a guitar. Okay, let's go. And I bought him a guitar. And then next time I see him, he's got a battle vest on. I'm like, holy crap, he's not my kid's kid, he's my kid.
Yeah.
But I asked him recently, I'm like, because he was trying to start a band, and I'm like, so how's it going with that? And he's like, I haven't really found the right people. Like, he's struggling to find the people to have a band with. So tell us about your story going way back when, how that happened.
I was fortunate. My brother, my older brother, when we were young, my dad had a drum set. My dad was a drummer. And for an end of year minor league baseball party one year, a couple of the dads got together, and there's one that played guitar and sang, one that played bass, and they knew my dad played drums. So my dad was like, "Oh, I'll just go pick up a secondhand drum kit, for the party, at a pawn shop or something." He actually he ended up finding, which I don't know what he paid for it. I was only like 12, but he ended up getting this gold Slingerland jazz kit that was, just beautiful. It's like, it wasn't, he didn't just buy some like cheap drum set. He found a drum set for like a decent price. I'm sure my mom wasn't happy about it, but we, from that point on, after they did the end of the year party, we had a drum set in the house. So my brother and I would fight over who could play it. And eventually I got sick of him pushing me off, because I was the little brother. So I decided I wanted to try and play guitar or something. Well, a kid down the street already played guitar, so we decided we were going to start a band. I needed to play bass. So I had some money saved up from mowing lawns and stuff around the neighborhood, and I went and bought, for like $120, this cheap Cruise bass and a Crate 110 little practice amp, and started taking lessons and things like that. And then, the kid down the street that was a guitarist, he lost interest in music really quick. He wanted to play at golf and baseball, So around that time, we're in high school, and, about 14 years old. And my brother meets this guy named DJ at a summer school, and they start, they find out that they have the same interest in music, and they like a lot of the same bands. So, turns out DJ's a guitarist and can sing a little bit. So we just got together in one of our bedrooms one day, and started trying to write some songs, and that became my first band. Played my first show when I was like 14 or 15. Shortly after that, and it seemed like a massive show to me at the time. I think we advertised for like months for it, around our schools and everything, and but there was maybe 50 people there, I'm sure. But, for a kid's first show, it seemed that like the place was slammed, and it was really cool. And I was just hooked after that. I just wanted to keep playing shows. That's all I wanted, just fast forward a few years later, you kind of cycling out with different musicians, that you find here and there. And, some guys can stick with it, some guys can't, and I finally ended up playing with Joey, who's our guitarist in Anberlin. He and I met at a comic shop one day. One of we had a mutual friend that ended up ditching us to go do drugs. So Joey's like, "Hey man, I live nearby. You want to run to my house real quick?" I'm like, "Sure." We walk into his bedroom, and he's not only got he's got like all this punk rock and metal vinyl, sitting by his record player. And he's got a Epiphone Les Paul sitting by his bed. I'm like, "You play guitar?" He's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Do you know any effects songs?" Like,
nice.
The first band that brought to mind. He immediately started playing. I think it was like Sticking in My Eye or something like that, and just crazy, well, not a lot of kids when, at 15, 16 years old, not a lot of kids could, pull off no effects songs on guitar, let alone play the lead, play an El Jefe's lead. So it was really cool. We bonded really quickly. And at that time I was already I was playing in a couple of bands just with different people. And I was just starting to play in a band with a friend of mine named Steven, who later on became the singer of Anberlin, so it's just it took years, I think, a couple of years to find the right people. And, I was just fortunate that in my small town of Winter Haven, there were like-minded musicians who were into the same type of music. And, and we were able to start a band in high school, and then, you know, through playing over the years in like Lakeland and Tampa and St. Pete, we met who are now drummer Nate, you know, by playing with his band that he was in at the time with his brother.
Nice.
So yeah, it's just a weird journey. I was talking to some good friends of mine that live in Kansas City, and they have a 15-year-old son named River who he's been playing drums for a few years now, and he's at the point where he really wants to start a band. You know, he wants to be the next Taylor Hawkins. He idolizes Taylor Hawkins and the Foo Fighters, you know, and he's having the same issue. You know, he's just not finding the right group of kids that share his, you know, his interest in the same type of music, or that even want to, you know, that play instruments or want to be in a band. So you know, I was just trying to encourage him. My son, I talked to him about it. You know, it's like, just give it time, keep practicing. You're going to find the right guys. You know,
yeah. My viewpoint is like, I'm going to have my grandson listen to this, because all of that led to us having this talk about Welcome to Rockville.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that's crazy.
Every band goes through it. You go through people you want to play with, people you don't want to play with, people leave, people do things, you know, but I do have based on what happened with you, I have a trivia question for you.
All right.
Who is one of the greatest bassists ever that never wanted to be a bassist, was a guitar player, and basically drew the short straw and had to play bass?
Me. No, I'm just kidding. It's funny because that is basically how I started playing bass, but I wouldn't consider myself the best bass player ever.
That's why I asked the question, because of that.
Geez. I don't think I know that one. I mean, I could think of a lot of people I would consider to be, you know, like great bass players. Like you know, obviously Geddy Lee from Rush is one of the greatest of all time, but I think he was always a bass player.
Yes, he was.
I don't know. You got me stumped. Who is it?
Paul McCartney.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because all three of them played guitar, and now if you listen to the Beatles songs, you hear his bass. Because I always loved the Beatles, but I never really heard till I knew that the influence, because he plays it like a guitar.
Yeah, he you know, yeah, it's the way he structures his bass lines. Or yeah, I mean, it makes sense really if you think about it. So that's interesting. I mean, I guess that should have been kind of obvious, you know. It's since he you know, obviously he's well versed in guitar. So
right,
but yeah,
so
that's cool to know. You know, it is funny. I think because I am a bit of I feel like an anomaly in the sense that I literally only know how to play bass. I know a little bit of guitar I've picked up over the years, you know, playing like some like bar chords and open chords and things like that, you know. But I started on the bass. I took lessons for the bass. You know, because there's so many bands that the bass player is a guitarist. There's just nobody in town that played bass. So somebody went, okay, I'll play bass. You know,
exactly.
So yeah, it's interesting. You know, I think a lot of times when I do meet people that are purely bass players, and that's the instrument that they started. Like Nick from Bayside is a guy like that. He and I share a lot in common in that respect. We're both just bass players. That's what we are. It's what we do.
There it is, and you're needed. Yeah. People don't realize how much of a difference having bass in a song means. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a friend who's a ripping guitar player. He's a really good blues player named Chris Walker. And it's funny, he got asked to fill in on a bass for some band that was kind of doing like a little, like there was like this blues band, and they were doing like a reunion, but their bass player wasn't around anymore. So they asked Chris if he could fill in on bass, and he's like, I guess so. And he calls me up and asks if he could borrow a bass. And so I lent him a Mustang bass to play. And after the gig, he was like, man, he's like, I almost wanted to start playing bass from here on out. He's like, that was so much fun.
Wow, that's cool.
I was like, I know. I was like, I enjoy it. You know, it may not be the most glamorous of instruments, but it's, you know, it's like you said, it's very much needed. And, you know, you can have a lot of fun playing bass. You really can. And I have for many years.
There you go. Now, what else do you guys got going on after Rockville that people need to look out for? Tell people how also connecting with you on socials, on the web, and all that.
Oh man, we're about to get busy. So we play Rockville on the 7th. and then we come home for just a few days. And on the 13th, we head out to start a 4.5-week headline tour.
Nice.
We're kind of doing a celebration tour of our second album, Never Take Friendship Personal. We did the first leg last year. We're doing a second leg this year, but a lot of the cities, the areas that we didn't get to hit last year. So yeah, we're gonna be we get a couple of days to rest between the two things, but we hit the road literally on the 13th. Drive up, starting the tour in Destin, Florida, and then we just take it from there. So we're real excited to get back out on tour and rock out with some fans and hang out and say hi to everybody.
Nice. Well, I'll have to tell my daughter, who's going to be at Rockville, to go to your set because she lives near Destin.
Oh,
so
nice.
Then maybe she'll show up to your show, because I don't even know if she knows you, your band yet. I'm sure she probably does, but maybe, who knows? So I'm going to tell her, yeah, you gotta go to the set and check it out. So maybe you'll want to go near you. And it's funny you mentioned about No Effects, because when I took my grandson to play buy that guitar, I didn't know he knew how to play array, and he we're at Guitar Center, he pulled the guitar down and started playing Green Day. I'm like, holy shit! How do you know how to do that? So there it is.
Hey, that's a good sign.
I love it, and I love that you're going to be at Rockville. It's going to be badass. And thank you for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Absolutely, thank you for having me, and maybe we'll run into each other on Thursday or something.
There you go. Yeah, and if you're in the media area, just come say hi, or if I see you out there.
I think we actually will be, so I'll try and keep an eye out for you. I do know we have a couple of on-site interviews in the afternoon after we play, so yeah, maybe we'll run into each other.
All right, sounds good. Let's make it a point, and anything you need, just let me know.
All right, thanks for having me, man.
You got it.
Louder Than Life, North America's loudest rock and metal festival, returns to Louisville this September with My Chemical Romance, Iron Maiden, Tool, Limp Bizkit, plus Pantera, Pierce the Veil, Gojira, Papa Roach, and more. Nearly 200 bands across 7 stages. Louder Than Life at the Kentucky Expo Center, September 17th through 20th. Passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down at louderthanlifefestival.com. Aftershock, the West Coast's largest rock, metal, and punk festival, returns to Sacramento this October with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Limp Bizkit, Pierce the Veil, plus Suicide Boys, Queens of the Stone Age, The Offspring, A Day to Remember, Wu-Tang Clan, and more. Aftershock, October 1st through 4th. Passes are on sale now, starting at only $1 down at AftershockFestival.com. Incarceration, America's rock, metal, and tattoo festival, returns this summer with Limp Bizkit, Disturbed, Bad Omens, plus Gojira, Papa Roach, A Day to Remember, Motionless in White, Ice Nine Kills, Cypress Hill, The Used, and so many more. Incarceration at the Ohio State Reformatory, July 17th to 19th. Passes on sale now at incarceration.com.
Hey, you're listening to The Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman, W4CY Radio, and I'm very excited because the Pipeman Radio Tour is starting again today. We've been off for about a month, got a little seclusion and from the world for a month, and now we're ready to rock and roll again. And our second stop, like tonight, I'm going to Alice Cooper on the other side of the state, but then tomorrow is Welcome to Rockville, one of my favorite Danny Wimmer festivals. And this will be the first interview for the festival for a band that is playing tomorrow. And man, they are killer. So let's welcome to the show Omar from Taken by Tides. How are you?
What's up? Doing great. We're out here driving currently on the way to Florida, all the way from Texas. It's about an 18-hour drive, 20 with stops, speed limit. Like with an RV, you can't drive 75. We got to go like 65. So, we've been driving. It'll be a total of like 2 days, like driving and taking our time. We're not trying to, drive sleep deprived, trying to take our time.
Yeah, no doubt. And listen, unlucky for you that the two states you got to go in are like the two hardest states to drive through.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like once you get outside of Texas, those little states, you're like, oh, that's easy. That's what I like about that road trip. Once you get out of like Texas, then it's like, oh, it's only a few hours to get out of this state. That's cool. And,
yeah.
And Texas is brutal to drive through too, because there's so many different geographics. Florida's a little different. It looks exactly the same. It's flat, the whole thing. But I remember the stupidest thing I ever did was I was driving to get to LA through Texas, and I should have stopped at El Paso. It was getting dark, and I was over driving through Texas. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to keep going. And I drove from that in the dark from El Paso to San Antonio. That is like one of the most brutal drives. I couldn't even imagine doing it in an RV, by the way, because I was doing it in a car. And like those crosswinds were brutal. Like I remember my car like moved over like a lane. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go off the cliff type of thing. Oh my God. Because the wind was so strong. I couldn't even imagine driving an RV under those conditions.
Yeah, you gotta drive, I believe, a bit slower. Like when we're driving back to Chicago, there was like a high wind warning. It's just got to be like careful. We don't really try to pass anyone. We try to keep our own space. But yeah, it can be scary. I think our scariest drive lately was we just did a tour in March, and we were driving, I believe, from Phoenix to San Diego, and it was a lot of mountains, up and down, and on an RV, you're going up, your transmission's just, it's pushing and it's super loud, and you're going like barely 50, but yeah, it was kind of wild. You'd see like down the side of the window, and it's like steep cliff.
Right. And I love talking about this because I think the listeners don't really get all you have to go through as a band just to get to a gig. Like this drive we're talking about, you're taking is for one gig so far. It doesn't count the rest of your tour. That's just one stop on the tour. Like, and I don't think people even imagine, like, and then you go perform, and sometimes you may not have had rest. Like you got there just in time, whatever the reason, traffic, weather, and then you're loading in and playing. And I think people in the audience, like, they can't even conceive of that,
Yeah, they don't see it. Sometimes you're on stage and you might have just barely had a chance to like take a breath. It's
right?
Like maybe you got to the venue late and you're loading in all day and you're pushing cases and you're barely have time to get ready. You're probably sweaty, You're not warmed up. I've had those shows sometimes where like I have to walk on stage without warming up. I feel not ready, but it's like it's rock and roll. You got to get up there and do it,
But then you get in the zone. Once you're on stage and it's time to perform, like you get in the zone, and then it's almost like, I know the way I am. I don't even give myself permission to feel like shit until after.
Absolutely not.
Until after, then I can die. Okay. But you get in this zone, like you don't even notice, and you're like, it's almost like an out-of-body experience, right?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And when you're on stage, like everything just goes blank. Like, I don't know. It's like you go into this second, I don't know, state of mind or something. And I hardly remember what goes on stage. I feel like something else takes over and I just black out most of the time. I try to come back and realize what's going on, but usually you black out, and like those 30, 40 minutes feel like 5, 10. Sometimes they feel longer. If the show's like, dragging, you're like, God, let it end already. Like if you're not having a good show, like if my voice is gone, I'm like, oh God, I'm out here sucking, But You know, I'll never show it. You know, I'll never show it on
Exactly.
stage. I'll just try my best to deliver. You know,
It's just
good show.
even like people think that musicians are like the biggest extroverts because they get up on stage and do that. And it's like the exact opposite. And you kind of do black out in the sense of, you know, it's easier to like pretend like you're just up there by yourself.
Yeah, for sure. It's easier to get lost, especially when you have like the music going on. It's easier to just feel at home
Yeah,
anywhere you're on
exactly.
stage.
So tell me, okay, you're going to be at Welcome to Rockville, obviously, but tell me about the Back to Hell tour. I love the name of that tour.
Yeah, right on.
I think we're living that in real life right now. I think everybody in the world is on the Back to Hell tour.
Yeah, man, we all are, especially with the weather. And the weather hasn't been too bad lately, but it's about to get hot again.
Yeah.
So yeah, but Back to Hell tour. I mean, it's just named after one of our songs that came out on our last album back in October. What's it called? We had two legs of it. We had originally just the the run on February and March, and then we got the offer to do Welcome to Rockville, and it was very close to that tour, but just far enough where it's like it's got to be a different lineup anyways. But we were like, okay, well, let's just make it the leg 2 of the Back to Hell tour. I like the art. I like the behind the song. I like the song a lot. So we just decided to make it leg 2. And yeah, it's been great shows. It's actually been our biggest shows we've ever played in a while. All the shows have been very successful. And all the bands have been taken care of. All the locals that are playing the shows were stoked on, the draws. All the venues have been stoked on the draws. A lot of it was a surprise because, we played some of these venues before, and some of these shows for the longest time we've played to like less than 20 people. And it's like, I don't know if fans know that, but it's like if a venue gets 20 people, it's like you probably might not even break even. You're probably losing money on that show. Especially for small up and coming venues, it's like they want to support up and coming artists, and it's like, for them to give us a shot, some of them multiple times to where it finally clicks. It's like we're grateful they gave us a shot. But yeah, this time finally around, like all the shows have been great, and really no complaints. It's probably been the best tour we've ever done. And then to do a leg 2 of it, it just felt right. So.
There you go. And it's funny with your debut album, Ghost Vibrations. I think it would be perfect if you were playing Incarceration, another Danny Wimmer festival, because I don't know if you know what the venue is, but it's the Shawshank prison, but it's a real prison that's shut down, and it is haunted. And they do at the festival, they do the haunted tours, but you don't know when you're going on this tour whether it's one of the people working, being a character, trying to scare you, or if it is a real, like, oh my God, I remember I was interviewing somebody there, okay, and he was talking about he filmed a video, and there was a torture room in that prison, and he came out with scratches all over his body.
No shot.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So like, what a perfect place. That would be a perfect place to film the video for one of your songs on Ghost Vibrations. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So take me back a little bit. What was that first moment in your life that you kind of realized that this is what you wanted to do, that this was your passion?
And I've had multiple ones of those for sure. Like, I could probably name a couple handful of them, but I think the first one, man, that's hard. I think, when I was a kid, I just really liked playing Guitar Hero, and I was probably like, 6 years old. And then by the time I was 10, I picked up a guitar. And I think just watching like My Chemical Romance and like Linkin Park, which Mike Chem's actually playing Rockville. I wish I could be there Sunday, but we got to go play other shows.
I'll be in the pit for you.
Right on. Thank you. So just to be under the same umbrella as them, it's a really big honor. But anyways, there's been multiple moments in life where I think I really wanted this. It's probably the first one was like picking up guitar like at 10, 11 years old. My grandpa was a musician. He was also a singer, guitarist. And what's it called? I think somewhere in my childhood it just kind of clicked. You know, I picked it up pretty fast. I was in band, and when I was in middle school, I only lasted one semester, but I ended up being like first chair playing French horn, and I just didn't. I wasn't into it. I got a guitar that Christmas. I got out, and then they were like, "Can you please join the band back? Like, you're really good. I promise. You're really talented. Like, you're great at this. You should be in band." And I'm like, "No, I'm gonna play guitar." And like, I just kind of knew at like 11 years old that this is what I wanted. So like,
I love
even
it.
like the band director was like, "No, you should play French. You're really talented." I'm like, "I get it, but I want to play guitar." So, and then
You know what I love about that story is, okay, so I'm a metalhead all my life. And I like a lot of people at my age group I'll talk to, and they're like, "Well, I used to like metal." And my answer to them is, "No, you didn't." Because nobody that is truly a metalhead says, "I used to like metal." It's not like other genres. Like, once a metalhead, always a metalhead, no matter when it started. And that's same example with you. And I also love about Guitar Hero, because I'm a gamer. And, you know, when I was trying to play guitar, there was no Guitar Hero because video games weren't that good then. And I think that would have helped me be better at guitar, like, and make it more fun because, you know, I was learning guitar. I had to do scales every single lesson. And I'm like, this is boring, you know? So if I was playing like a video game, then it would have excited me more. So I think that's a cool thing. Like, some people may give crap about, oh, Guitar Hero, but I think it does teach you really before you even pick up the guitar, and you're proof of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my right hand got really solid because, you know, I just learned rhythm, and like, I just took that, you know. The left hand, yeah, you know, you're just here, but like, your fingers get fast and you get kind of conditioned to it. But like, your right hand is really where it helps because, you know, you just stay in rhythm. And so, yeah, it's crazy how playing lots of Guitar Hero as a kid really just easily translated over to guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I have a question because it's hard for me to tell on the screen, but is that necklace your logo?
Yes, it is.
I thought it was, but I couldn't see the details that far, but I was pretty sure it was. That is freaking cool. Now, do you sell that as merch?
No, we don't, but we've
You
always wanted to
should.
like figure it out. We have keychains that's like
I
this.
saw the keychains. They're cool as hell.
Yeah. Thank you, but I got to figure this out. I just don't know what kind of, you know, necklace I'd want, you know, but we definitely got to get it sorted. I think the next, you know, big headliner tour we do, we definitely have these out on the road for sure.
There you go. That would be cool. You could even just do the charm, and then if you find a cool necklace, because it is like, it's a cool logo, but it does make a cool necklace. Like, I'm looking at you wearing a necklace, and I'm like, I would wear that. You know, like,
right on, yeah.
It'd be kind of like a Misfits thing. I wouldn't even care what your band sounded like. I just want to wear the logo.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I'm really proud of it. I think it's great. It's like a hero symbol or something, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it makes you look like a superhero, right?
Yeah. All right.
So, one story, crazy, good or bad, in all the years you've been doing music and doing shows and stuff, what sticks out in your mind the most that you would talk about like years down the road?
Like any story in the band, like
anything that's happened in the musical journey of the band, you know?
There's been multiple. There was like this one time where we flew out our producer to San Antonio because we weren't done with our with the songs we're trying. So we were in Louisville, Kentucky, and then we flew him to San Antonio for like 2 days because he had a gig in Austin, Texas. He was like working sound, some gig, and it's not far, so we picked him up from Austin, about an hour drive. He stayed with us a couple days. We just moved his flight from San Antonio to, you know, made the logistics work. Anyways, we wrapped up tracking everything, and at night we were about to head out because Jack
Yeah, you are breaking up.
All right. Okay. You got me? Check.
Still breaking up a little bit. I can hear partially. And my engineer will edit this part out, so don't worry. Sorry. Okay, go.
Sweet, right on. So yeah, this one time, we were tracking some songs for a couple singles back in like I think 2022, 2020, and we were over in Louisville, Kentucky, and fly our producer out to San Antonio because we already had our flights going back home, but he had a gig in Austin, so it kind of worked out in our favor. So, anyways, we picked him up from Austin once he finished his gig. He came for a couple days, and we finished tracking the songs that we needed to finish. So my bassist Jack and I are from Laredo, Texas, which is about 2 hours and a half south of San Antonio. We finished the session in San Antonio at like at 11 p.m. You saw me there?
You're cutting.
Check 1, 2. Hello.
I can hear you now. You were cutting out a little bit. Yeah.
Heard. So, yeah. Anyways, we finished the studio session like around 11 p.m. We're over at Jaden's house, and like I said, Jack and I, we had to drive 2 hours and a half to Laredo. Outside, we're sitting there, we're sorry. And then we saw this car drive by like the house. They're driving kind of slow. It's like 4 dudes in the car, and it just kind of feels weird. And literally they turn around, circle back, and like instantly they start speeding, and like 12 shots get fired. And
oh my,
we obviously fight or flight mode. We just run back into the house instantly, and we're like, and our producer's still inside of the house, and he's like, "What's up, guys? You're back inside?" I was like, "Did you not hear that?" And he's like, "No, what happened?" Like, dude, there's like gunshots. He's like, "Dude, get down." Like, what the heck, you know? And we just ended up staying inside the house. We ended up going home that night. So that was like one of the scarier stories we've ever had.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought it up, because bands go through scary crap like that, and you don't even realize that what can happen no matter what on the road or what have you. And you know, like I know there's been band members that have been mugged, attacked, or carjacked, all that, and these are the things that you guys go through to give us some great music.
What's insane, speaking of carjacking, we have the music video for Ghost Vibrations. I'm like driving a car in the video. So that car we actually ended up borrowing. We were supposed to use Jaden's car at the time because he had like a Dodge, like a Challenger or a Charger or something like that. It was like a Scat Pack Dodge, really nice car. Literally, I think the day before the video shoot where we were gonna take the car out, it got stolen off its front like driveway.
Wow.
They just took it. Like his mom's like, "Hey Jaden, I thought you left to the store or something." And he's like, "No, I'm right here. What's up?" He's like, "I heard your car turn on. I thought you left." It's like, "No." And they go outside, and they just see a windshield on the floor. There's no car.
Holy crap.
And this is like the day before we were supposed to film the music video. So you're like, "Well, we have no car for the video." And
wow. Yeah.
So speaking of carjacking, that's also happened.
It is amazing. Like, I love hearing stuff like this, because I like when the audience finds out what it's really like behind the scenes, because they look at musicians and they think, oh, you got the dream life. And in some ways you do, you know,
absolutely.
but it's like every person has their trials and tribulations, and musicians are no different. And to me, musicians are the hardest working people there is. So if they want to listen to my show, they need to go to your merch store and buy some merch.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
So
sure.
Tell everybody how they can check you guys out on socials, on the web, and check out all your merch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can find us mostly on socials, on Instagram and TikTok. That's usually where we're most active. And streaming, you can stream us anywhere they stream. You know, our distributor puts us on most platforms as possible. But obviously, you know, the big ones, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Music. And yeah, just keep up with us. We always got stuff. And then our merch store, you can go to takenbytidesband.com. That's where we have any exclusive drops or any leftover tour merch that we didn't sell on tour. You know, so in case you missed something or missed a show, you can always grab it there too.
Nice. And you know, it's funny you mentioned Apple Music, and I normally, like, before I do interviews, I'll just, while I'm like getting ready, I'll just go to Apple Music and turn on the band's music to kind of get in the zone. And Apple Music has a new update now. I don't even know if you know. I just saw it for the first time today, and it told me all your tour dates, including Welcome to Rockville.
Dude, that's awesome. I've not updated my phone in like a year, so because I don't trust it.
I don't blame you.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, I was like, that's really cool for bands, because like you go on there and you go to your page and it looks similar to normal, but then there's a place at the top to click on for the tour dates. So
that's so cool.
I gotta give kudos to Apple for doing that for you guys.
Yeah, you know, Apple's really great. They pay better than most other streaming platforms, and the quality on there is like some of the best, you know. So
I'm so glad to hear that they pay you guys better, because I don't use Spotify. Like, I'll use it for certain things. Like when I do the festivals, I'll create a playlist of all the interviews on Spotify, but not for the music, for the podcast. But I hate that they don't pay you guys. So the fact that Apple pays you better, kudos to them. Because even in my industry now with streaming and everything else, there's so many of my competitors that like don't get licensed, don't pay royalties. And I'll say shit to them because I'm licensed. I pay a lot of money to be licensed, pay royalties, because you guys deserve to get paid. And I'll ask them like about them, like, you know, and they'll say, well, they should just want me to play their music. Like, no, do you work for free? You know, of course, yeah, you do want them to play your music, but, you know, you're doing this for a living. So you need to be able to eat. I'm not talking about buying a Ferrari. We're talking about eating.
You're not making a lot of money in this business. You're
exactly.
I mean, unless you're the top 1%, then you know you're probably making a good living. But even like the bands that are massive, selling 1,000 tickets a night, they're still just living. You know, you're probably better having off a normal 9 to 5 in terms of money.
No doubt,
you know?
no doubt. So, and that's why musicians have passion for what they do, because you're not doing it for the money. You're certainly not doing it to become a rock star, because that doesn't even exist anymore. You know, you're doing it because you have a passion for music, and music is the best therapy. So I do thank you for making that, you know, and making music and making that sacrifice so that we could all get the therapy. You know, you get it and we get it. And to me, the music's the best therapy. And I can't wait to go see my therapist at Welcome to Rockville.
Right on. Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the Adventures of Pipeman. And we'll see you soon in Daytona.
Absolutely. We'll see you there.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.